January, Davos, Switzerland. The annual gathering of world leaders and billionaires. Mark Carney sits across from Marcus Wallenberg, chairman of Saab, the Swedish defense giant. They're not talking about the weather. They're discussing fighter jets, 72 of them,
this summer,
built in Montreal
your kids
by
can
Canadians.
explore Canada's national galleries and
12,600
museums,
jobs,
like
full
this one,
technology
and
training.
this,
A factory that doesn't just build jets for Canada,
free.
it builds them for the world. And the Americans, they weren't even in the room. Now here's the part most people don't understand. There's a clause buried in this proposal that makes it nearly impossible for any future government to undo. I'll show you exactly what it is. But first, let me explain why Canada is walking away from the F-35 and why Washington is scrambling. If you want to understand these defense shifts before they hit the headlines, subscribe and hit the bell. I cover every major move Carney makes. Let me take you back to where this started. January 2025, the White House. U.S. Ambassador Pete Hoekstra, Trump's man in Ottawa, goes on CBC and delivers what sounds like a threat. His exact words: if Canada doesn't buy all 88 F-35s as planned, NORAD would have to be altered. The U.S. would fly American jets into Canadian airspace more frequently to fill the gaps. Think about that for a second. An American diplomat on Canadian television suggesting that if we don't buy American jets, American planes will patrol our skies instead. That's not partnership, that's leverage. And it gets worse. The F-35 program, the one Canada signed on to back in 2023, it was supposed to cost $19 billion. The current estimate, $30 billion. That's $11 billion more. And the jets haven't even arrived yet. Meanwhile, the jets themselves have a readiness problem. According to U.S. Government Accountability Office reports, some American F-35 units are available only 32% of the time. 1 in 3. And Canada is supposed to defend the largest coastline on Earth with aircraft that spend more time in maintenance than in the air. That's what Carney inherited. A ballooning contract, a reliability problem, and an American administration treating our defense purchases like a loyalty test. But here's what nobody was reporting. While Hoekstra was making threats on television, Saab's CEO, Mikkel Johansson, was already on a plane to Ottawa. And the proposal he brought, it wasn't just about jets. It was about sovereignty. What Carney did next. That's the part that changes everything. March 2025, Carney takes office. Within days, not weeks, days, he orders a full strategic review of the F-35 purchase. Not a delay, not a pause for consideration. A review. The direction he gave Defense Minister Bill Blair was simple. Go look at all our options. Make the right decision for Canada. Now here's where the dominoes start falling. Saab had been circling Canada for years. Their Gripen E fighter lost the original competition in 2022. But losing a competition and losing interest are two different things. When Trump's tariffs hit, when the trade threats started, when the ambassador went on television, Saab saw an opening. And they didn't just offer jets, they offered a partnership. 72 Gripen fighters, 6 GlobalEye surveillance aircraft. Those are built on Bombardier's Global 6500 platform, which means Canadian workers in Montreal are already involved. A Gripen center in Montreal to manage and maintain the fleet, an aerospace R&D center for future development, a cyber resilience center in Toronto, a sensor center in Vancouver, 4 new facilities. Coast to coast, all building something. But the number that matters, the one that shifts the politics, is 12,600. That's jobs, direct and indirect, spread across 40 years. Compare that to the F-35. Canadian companies make parts, yes, about 35 suppliers. But final assembly, American. Technology transfer, limited. Maintenance decisions, controlled from the United States. You see the difference? One deal creates dependency, the other creates capability. And there's something else most coverage leaves out entirely, the export angle. Saab isn't just offering to build jets for Canada, they're offering to make Canada a manufacturing hub for global Gripen sales. Ukraine has signed a letter of intent for up to 150 aircraft. Colombia just ordered 17. Thailand bought 4. If Canada says yes, Montreal doesn't just build jets for the RCAF. Montreal builds jets for the world. That's not a purchase, that's an industry. And Carney? He met with Saab's chairman at Davos. His industry minister, Melanie Joly, has been in direct talks. The CEO of Saab is scheduled to visit Ottawa this month. This isn't speculation. This is movement. So let me show you why this isn't just another headline that disappears in a week. The 16 F-35s, those are coming. Canada is contractually committed. They're already in production. First deliveries start later this year. That's locked in. But the remaining 72, those are the ones under review. And if Carney moves forward with Saab, and all signs suggest he's heading that direction, here's why it doesn't reverse. First, infrastructure. You don't build 4 aerospace facilities, Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver, and the production line, and then abandon them. That's billions in sunk investment. Once the concrete is poured and the engineers are hired, you don't walk away. Second, supply chains. Saab has committed to sourcing parts from across Canada. IMP Aerospace in Halifax, CAE in Montreal, GE for engines, Peraton for systems integration. Once those contracts are signed and production begins, those supply chains don't reroute. Third, the export market. If Canada becomes a Gripen manufacturing hub, other countries will depend on Canadian production. Ukraine, Colombia, potentially NATO allies looking for alternatives. You can't shut down a factory that's building jets for your friends. Fourth, and this is the one nobody talks about, political alignment. Sweden and Canada just signed a major aerospace and defense partnership in August 2025. Joint research, technology development, Arctic security cooperation. Both countries led by leaders who want less dependence on Washington, both facing elections not for years. The calendar protects this deal. That's not a policy, that's a structure. If this goes through, Canada doesn't just buy different jets. Canada becomes a different kind of country, one that builds its own defense capability on its own soil. If you think more Canadians need to understand what's happening with our defense strategy, hit that like button. It helps this reach people who are still getting their news from legacy media. Now, is this done? No. The final decision is expected later this year. The RCAF leadership, by the way, isn't thrilled. They prefer the F-35 stealth capabilities for NORAD integration, and Washington will absolutely push back hard. The ambassador's NORAD comments were just the opening shot. But here's what I'm watching. Carney has made diversification his foreign policy theme. He's signed defense agreements with Europe. He's building trade relationships outside the US orbit. And now he's looking at a defense purchase that would create more Canadian jobs, more Canadian technology, and more Canadian control than anything Ottawa has done in decades. My question for you, do you think Canada should go all in on the Gripen or keep a larger F-35 fleet for NORAD? I want to hear your reasoning. Drop it in the comments. Here's what I know. A country that was told it couldn't survive without American trade is now being told it can't defend itself without American jets. And once again, Canada is proving there's another way. $30 billion, 72 aircraft, 12,600 jobs, and a factory in Montreal that builds fighters for the world. That's not a purchase order. That's a declaration of capability. If you haven't seen the video where the U.S. ambassador threatened Canada over this exact issue, and what Carney's government said in response, that's the context you need for everything I just explained. That video is right here. I'll see you.